Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the District 1 Public Works Integrating Committee State Infrastructure Programs Applicant Workshop. My name is Allison Ball. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a Planning Initiative Specialist with Cuyahoga County Planning Commission. And with me here today is a representative from Ohio Public Works Commission, Nick.
Yeah, I am Nick Rose. I work for the Ohio Public Works Commission. I am the program representative for District 1. I help out and oversee the state side of things with the DOPWIC.
Great, thank you. I'm going to share the screen. Screen share. All right, so, and you should all be seeing this. And again, put in the Q&A if you are not seeing this, or raise your hand. That'd be great. Today, we're going to do a brief overview of the State Capital Improvement Program. That includes all the different OPWC programs, the District 1 Public Works Integrating Committee, and the funding and eligibility. And then we'll get into the meat of fiscal year 2025 application. So this is a state fiscal year 2025, meaning that these applications are for the funding, then project agreements that start on July 1, 24 and go into 25. So if you feel like you're in the wrong year, you're not, you're right in time. So we'll go over the program updates, application materials, project evaluation and selection, and the small government and emergency programs. And then we'll have time for Q&A after that. So this is the Ohio Public Works Commission website. And before I turn it over to Nick, Ohio Public Works Commission, OPWC, does have an email, a regular email, a quarterly or monthly, I forget, a letter. But if you're not signed up for this newsletter, please sign up on their website. Once you go in, you'll have to scroll down, and now I'll turn it over. Nick, if you want me to change the slides, just let me know.
Gotcha. Yeah, you can go to the next one.
Okay.
So OPWC manages three main funding programs that are set out in the ORC, SCIP, LTIP, and RLP. The State Capital Improvement Program is a combined grant loan program with funds from the general obligation bonds. The RLP funds come from SCIP loan repayments and vary from year to year, district to district. Depending on the loan term, the amount of loans actually issued under SCIP, actual closure dates, timeliness of payments. LTIP funds come from the gas tax. And now you can go to the next one. So we have two other programs that are kind of work within these other ones. We have the small government program and the emergency program. The small government program is a $20 million SCIP set aside for villages and townships with a population of less than 5,000. Applicants come from all across the 19 districts that have not been funded can be selected for small government funding. And so it acts sort of as a second chance for funding. And then our emergency program is another set aside for this fund from the SCIP funds. It's about $12 million, and those are for catastrophic situations that threaten public health and safety. Yep.
Great, thank you. So as you know, we're District 1, we're Cuyahoga County. The 19 district integrating committees were set up back when the program was set up for some local control. So the District 1 Public Works Integrating Committee, otherwise known as the DOPWIC, is made up of 2 representatives from Cuyahoga County, 2 representatives from the city of Cleveland, which is the most populous county, and then 2 representatives that are appointed by the mayors, Cuyahoga County Mayors and City Managers Association, and they represent the suburban areas. And then these members will vote on a private sector representative. Our private sector representative just got a job at Cuyahoga County, so she is no longer able to serve. So we do have a vacancy, and we also have a call for nominations on the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission website. The due date for those is in September. So if you think of somebody that would be interested, certainly reach out to me or just look on our website. So the DOPWIC allocation this year, we have close to $30 million for all the grant and loan programs. So the SCIP grant, we're required to use 10% of that as loan. So the SCIP grant amount is $16,109,500. And from this year's allocation, we have $1,795,000 set aside. The revolving loan program is from all the loans that have been previously awarded, and they get paid back into District 1. So that is approximately $5,700,000. And then this year for the local transportation improvement program, this again for roads, bridges, and culverts, this is $6,198,500. I just want to remind you that the funding is based on legislation. And so it is, these values are not guaranteed. And if some of you were funded in program year 2020 or whenever over the pandemic, we had some issues about finding those selections. So until the legislation happened a little bit later. So eligibility for SCIP, for the state capital improvement programs, includes counties, cities, villages, townships, sanitary districts, and regional water and sewer district as defined by the Ohio Revised Code section 6119 or 6117. And then what the projects that can be funded include road, bridges, and culverts, sewers, sanitary and storm, water supply and distribution, wastewater treatment, and solid waste disposal. So the LTIP, as this is from gas taxes, the applicants are shortened. It's the counties, cities, villages, and townships. And the only projects that can be funded through this is roads, bridges, and culverts. And the applications are the same for both. So the grants will cover up to 90% of repair replacement projects and up to 50% of new and expansion projects. The loans will be up to 100%. You can use the loan as match. The term is 1 to 30 years. It can't exceed the weighted useful life that you put in your application. Keep that in mind. However, 0% interest, it's a great deal. So don't count that out. There's also debt support programs. Loan assistance offers grant funding that pays for the interest on eligible construction projects. And the credit enhancement offers a one-time infusion of funds to enhance an applicant's ability to secure affordable debt. For the loan assistance program, the construction may have already started. And keep in mind that your application will have to be on the pre-construction condition. So if you're going to go for one of those debt support applications, I would highly recommend checking in with us about that. So moving on is, what gets funded is the acquisition of right-of-way and or easements, engineering design, construction, equipment, related financing costs, permits, advertising, legal. Note OPWC does not fund projects that are solely engineering and design. All right. Oh, Joseph, I will, sorry, I took a break to look at the Q&A before we go into fiscal year 2025. And I will contact you after this meeting to discuss that. All right. So I'm going to close that up. So fiscal year 2025. Where can you find the information? So you should be able to find the information on the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission site. And you should all be seeing our website. Go down to grant programs. And then the state infrastructure program is right at the top of the page. So you don't have to hunt too hard to find it. Again, services, grant programs, state infrastructure. So applications are submitted via WorksWise as well as electronically. OPWC required documents must be included in the application in order to be recommended for funding. And the construction needs to start by June of fiscal year 2025. And if your construction schedule, when you're filling that out, and it looks like you're going to start in July, August, September, you definitely will want to hold off for a future funding year. So there are a lot of changes this year. First of all, we have a slight change in the District 1 policy manual, and extension requests with the reason for the delay must be submitted in writing to OPWC. That part is not new, but you must also copy the District 1 liaison. So we're adding that level so that the DOPWIC and the district can keep track of which programs are not getting or are being delayed because project timeliness is something that OPWC is striving for moving forward. In the past, the OPWC website had a form on it, and that is no longer on the OPWC website. So we will only be using the PDF applications submitted electronically to the district. So the WorksWise PDF, there's a way to print that. And Nick, maybe you can demonstrate that when you show them the website for WorksWise. There are 2 methodology criteria changes. And those changes will be discussed in detail a little bit later, but it is access to funds, which will now include a loan component, and economic health. That has changed again, I'll get into the details later. So, but just keep that in mind. And then the District 1 small government specific application supplements. So we're going to ask applicants that are eligible to enter the small government competition to submit a specific supplement for small government. And again, this is a change at OPWC. They're only, the OPWC Small Government Commission is only accepting 5 small government applications. In the past, they had allowed 7, so it's only 5. You must submit all application materials via WorksWise and 1 full digital copy via electronic file sharing program. So everything that's submitted through WorksWise, combine it all in a single PDF. You may need to, and most likely need to use a file sharing service such as Microsoft OneDrive or Dropbox or something, because these files can get very large. And if you are debating, which one should I submit first? Always make sure you submit the WorksWise one first, because there's the timer. If you can't get it into WorksWise before 4:30 of the deadline, it won't be counted. It doesn't matter how much stuff you have in the sent via email. So always make that WorksWise infrastructure application your priority. And then, of course, we require a lot of supporting documentation to show that how your project looks. So when you organize all that stuff, start with your OPWC WorkWise application PDF, the DOPWIC application supplement, and then the attachments separated by a cover page for authorization and resolutions of support, agreements and letters of support, engineers' estimates, certification and plans, supporting documentation and data for road, bridges, and culverts, supporting documentation and data for sewer, septic, water, and wastewater, maps and photos, and the small government checklist and other forms that are now in there. Or actually, you won't even need that because it'll be in your supplement. So I can update that for next year. I know that it might seem very detailed the way we want it, but you have to remember that we review anywhere from 40 to 60 applications that have a lot of information, and having to hunt for that information can hurt your chances. So again, if you can follow along with this protocol, it's much easier for us to see and agree with your assessment. And now the OPWC thing is first, I will turn this over to Nick.
Yeah, so when you log in and go to apply for your project, these are the main elements of it that you'll be inputting into the form on WorksWise. So it's definitely good to familiarize yourself with it, and you'll need a login. And to get a login, you'll just reach out to me. I'll get you set up, and then we have materials online that you will be able to like YouTube walkthroughs, as well as manuals that will walk you through the process. And I'm always available for questions. Just be sure when you're filling it out, the project description and the project location should be specific and not reference any outside documents, because our system pulls those two fields and makes the project agreement from them. So we can't reference any document that wouldn't be within the agreement. And then you can go to the next one, Allison.
Did you want to do this now or later, the walkthrough?
I was gonna share my screen.
Okay.
After the next slide.
Okay, great.
And so these are the required attachments and things we require with each application that isn't in the form. Authorizing legislation from the political subdivision, certification of local match, and if there's a loan requirement, or if there's a loan portion, we require that to be certified as well. Keep in mind, for the CFO certification and the loan certification, we require that the specific amount be listed in those, whether that's your local share or the loan amount that you'd be repaying. That specific amount has to be listed. And then of course the cost estimate with the engineer's estimate and the weighted useful life statement. And if it's a joint project, a cooperative agreement. And then you can go to the next one, Allison. And so this is our homepage. I'll share my screen here and do a demonstration. I have myself logged in.
Okay.
On the customer side.
I might have to stop sharing. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to look at,
it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Wait, you should be able to do that. Hold on. I just made you a co-host, so you should be able to share that now.
Awesome. All right, so pull this up here. Okay, so this is our home page. And from here, you'll go to our customer WorksWise portal here. That will take you to this link, which is our home page. I'm logged in as Allison here, and we'll walk through the process of starting an application. So yeah, this is the home page, and then down here is where all your projects will be listed. You can manage the projects from here, and then you'll click on them, and that's where you'll disperse. To apply, go down here, click on Start New Infrastructure Application. We'll search the applicant, just say, so that was all. And then project name, we'll just put repaving. Project type, go to road, multiple subdivisions, no, and then zip code. What's the Cleveland zip code?
44115 is where my office is.
Gotcha. Search city of Cleveland. And you got to press the enter button, And then we have options here. Click on City of Cleveland and then confirm. And so this creates the page that your applicant, that the web page and the center for this project. So this is the page that where everything will be, all your information, all your documents, and then once the project gets approved, that's where you'll disperse on. The buttons will pop up here that you will use. So, and then let's see. And we can edit the project financials. I'm not going to enter anything in, but here you have a bunch of options. The ones that are starred are necessary. And then you also can add your project schedule. And you're going to need your project officials, all that stuff. And then down here, this is where you'll add your files. And so you can add them. You can just add them, and then we'll just click on our appraisal standards here. And so when you're adding them, you want to make sure they're titled clearly, and then they have to have a submission type. So we'll pretend this is the authorizing legislation. That just classifies it in our system, and the system requires that it has have a submission type so that we can be sure that these documents are uploaded. I'll just save that, and there you go. All your stuff's right there, and then we can submit that whenever and when you're ready, you'd submit it. So I think that pretty much covers it, Allison, unless you think of anything else.
Well, one, it won't submit it if you don't have all the required documentation. If you previously submitted an application, you can you show them how to clone? If you were unlucky enough to not be funded, you don't have to go through maybe all of your stuff. You can clone a previous.
Yeah, that button, I can't see it.
It's in under
There
edit.
we go. Yeah,
You found
so
it.
Yep, that
Yeah.
button will be right here. So if it doesn't get approved or something happens with it, you want to and you need a new application, this button right here. All the buttons you'll need will be right up here, and then this drop down will have everything you need.
And the printable view, if you click on that, that's where you can get the PDF to include for the electronic submission to the district. So it's right above clone.
Yep.
So right there.
Yep, and we also just rolled out that feature for disbursements as well. So for our disbursement financials, you can get a printable view of that too. So, yeah.
Great. I think that was it for me. Excellent. So let's see. Now I have to share again. Share screen. Great. Thanks, Nick. Am I going the right way? Okay. Oh, yeah. So again, use WorkWise to upload applications, request the login if you don't already have one. And then here's just the training videos and the training for application submittal and for disbursements. So again, I showed you how to find this. After I go over, I'm just going to go through my slides of this, and many of you are familiar with this application process, and I can do a walkthrough, a similar thing that Nick just did after those slides. So the criteria. So again, this year, the total score is 200. That's because the economic health changed from a 25-point criteria to a 23-point criteria. Access to funds is still a 6-point criteria, and we'll get into the difference there, but that's just the main differences. But again, it's the same thing we've been looking at the last couple of years: users, infrastructure age, infrastructure condition, all this stuff that I'm going to go over now. So the primary infrastructure. So we're going to ask you to select what is driving the project, right? So you may have a project that is a water project, but you have to rip up the road, tear up the road, and so you'll need to repave the road. So what is driving the improvement? Is it the water line or is it the road? Because again, we do encourage you guys, once you are opening up these roads, to definitely fix as much as you can. So pick the primary infrastructure. I want to just point out that don't confuse this with the project type, because the project type is on the OPWC application, and that is defined by the highest financial component. So if your water line is driving the project, but repaving the road curb to curb is more expensive than the water line, you're definitely going to want to check the primary infrastructure as your water line. I just took this from the road, bridge, and culvert form, but again, you see it, this is from the you'll pick your application supplement actually based on your primary infrastructure component. Now, if you have additional components, then this is where you list them all. And these are radio buttons. You can only check one, and these you can check as many as apply. However, we will ask you to provide a description of the work for the secondary infrastructure component. We will verify that work by looking at the engineer's estimates. And I just want to remind you that catch basins adjusted to grade or installing under drains with new curbs are not considered a separate stormwater project. So if you are thinking that that will get you an extra point, I'm telling you right now, it will not. We will take that away. So again, put what you're doing and we will look for that. So the project description, the OPWC application has a limit to what your project description is because it's going to go into the project agreement. We're going to give you an opportunity to tell the bigger story here that fits, you know, I think we give you a page or so to tell us the whole story. And we do ask you again for location. You put that in the OPWC application for your project agreements. We ask you to list it from the road segment from or to or an address point. And this way it is a little redundant, but this will give us the plugins to create a map. So that's why we are requesting you to redo that again. It's not to waste your time. So we also ask you about the existing infrastructure. Here's the way to tell your story, and then the proposed changes, because we're not just looking for how bad the project is, but also how you're addressing the issues that you're describing in the existing infrastructure. So we have this form includes, it's an engineer's status of plans. We adopted it from the Small Government Commission. This is only being used at the district level. And small government applicants, you will need to fill this out twice, and I'll explain that when we get to the small government. Again, it's just to keep us in compliance with the law. So the road, bridge, and culvert applicants have to also put a 2-year, what is this called? Whoops. It's a 2-year maintenance records form that would be from 21 to 23, I believe. So, and the water projects, you don't have to submit that. This is to keep us in compliance with the local transportation mandated ORC rules. Now, users. Another thing I'm going to add, if you had a chance to look at the manual, we changed up the organization of the manual so that in the beginning of each section, you will see the points. We used to have that at the end, and now in the beginning of each section, you'll see, whoops, going backward, how many points you can get for the different criteria. So the users is a 10-point category. And we're looking at, for roads, bridges, and culverts, we're looking at the ADT. We want to know the count year and the count source. And you can use o.tims or a manual count. If you're using your own count, this should be stamped and sealed with the engineer seal. So if you're using TIMS, we'll just accept that. So for road, bridges, and culverts, we will look at indirect users will be considered for projects that have a public transit route on over half of the project limit. So you can get 1 point, but if you have a busy road and you're already getting 10 points, it maxes out at 10, you're not going to get 11, but still let us know if there's a public transit route on at least half of the project limit, and then provide the map. So again, here's the Greater Cleveland Regional Transportation Map, and put the project location so we could see the route that it's on. For sewer, septic, water, wastewater, we are looking at the number of households and the report year and the count source. One thing that I will tell you, and I will have to look this up, I don't think I wrote the note down here. We updated the multiplier. This is multiplied by the average household size as of the 1 year community effort. So I'll find that value for you. So that did go down a little bit from last year. So that is a change. Did I put what page in that? No, I didn't. So I'll look for that in the manual and let you know where that is. And so again, we will ask for maps showing the households or the connection points, the parcels, and then indirect users will also be considered for sewer, septic, water, wastewater. Once again, if you get to the maximum, you can't get over that, but we'll ask for the components, the count type, the count, and the count source. So we'll be looking at directional flow maps or other areas, but again, clearly define where your direct users are and your indirect users in order to get those points. Infrastructure age. So this is defined by the project type or the primary infrastructure. Maybe we should have changed that. But again, if it's a bridge, road, sanitary, septic, solid waste, stormwater. We also ask you to give us the last major improvement. So to determine if it is a major improvement or a minor improvement, I did make a note that is on pages 16 and 17 in the applicant manual. Okay, so we're looking at for the major improvement, we'll ask you what the components are. And if you do put the last major improvement, put the type of improvement. So infrastructure condition is next. Infrastructure and condition and health and safety. This is the largest portion of points and percentages of your application. This is 45 points, and we're looking if it's closed or not operating, imminent failure, critical, poor, fair, good, new. Note that new means that it could also get 0 if you have no supporting documentation submitted. So it's a radio button. You can only click one. Condition is based on the amount of deterioration within the defined project limits. And again, this will be determined by your write-up, by your supporting documentation, as well as field verification. So for the road, bridge, and culverts, we're looking at general appraisals or pavement condition rating with the structural deduct, where you got the rating and the source, or what the rating is and the source. And then the water projects, we're looking for number of sewer line breaks or flooding events, the Cuyahoga County Board of Health ratings for septic systems, the number of sewer line breaks, number of violations and PDES violations in previous 10 years, and overall break rate or C factor. So if you are doing a water project, describe the actual condition and indicate the frequency of the water main breaks and provide a 5-year break rate. And we do provide that equation for you in the applicant manual as well. I believe it might be in the supplement, but it might just be in the manual. To demonstrate the current condition, any of the following documentation will be accepted for review. Posted restrictions, general appraisal, sufficiency rating, and pavement condition rating. You think there's, I believe it was called the pavement condition assessment. We're going with the ODOT pavement condition report. So keep that in mind when you're preparing your application. And PCR reports may be obtained from the ODOT Transportation Information Management Information Mapping System. And PCRs conducted by applicant must be submitted on the ODOT PCR form and using the ODOT rating system. And it must include the official seal and signature of a certified professional engineer. We'll also look at maintenance records that as well. For the sewer, septic, wastewater, and water, we're looking for televised underground system reports, the septic system assessments or other similar reports, water main break rates, combined sewer overflow rates, maintenance records, and documented I&I issues. So I already said to provide the 5-year break rate, and all documents provided must contain the source material, date of publication, and the name and contact information of the preparer. Keep in mind, we're looking for current documentation. Don't send us anything from the 80s. If it's a very, very large report and you have a link to it, that would be appreciated. Maybe just print out the couple pages that are pertinent to your project or that you want us to know. Or if you do include the whole report and you want us to see something on page, say, 200, let us know where to find it, because we are not going to be combing through every detail of those supporting reports. And again, in the appeal section, we say if it's not included in the application, that you can't bring anything new, and you may have it in there, but we won't know where to look for it. So we might not agree with your assessment. Again, be very detailed when you let us know what your problem is and how to find it. Health and safety. Again, this is the most points you can get is 55, and this is the highest percentage in the application, and that's what's really driving your project. So ongoing, we're looking for continuous problem with severe factors, that's ongoing documented health and safety problems with multiple critical factors. And again, you'll have to have the supporting documentation to show those. Ongoing problem, it's just a continuous problem, and the project will greatly reduce or eliminate the health and safety risks. Intermittent problem with severe factors, intermittent documented health and safety problems with critical factors, or the nature of the problem warrants additional consideration, or the project will improve the infrastructure, but does not reduce or eliminate the health and safety risks. So again, we're looking, like I said earlier, not just at what's wrong, but how your project is going to address what's wrong and make those improvements. The intermittent problem just happens every once in a while. Minor or potential documented health and safety problems. If it is a preventative measure and you find yourself realizing that, this is going to be very not competitive in this program. So we're really looking at these top 4 here for a competitive project. But again, you certainly can apply, and these are radio buttons for you to click. It will only be one, you can't do 2. This section, again, we have for both road, bridge, and culvert. This is a lot larger in the applicant supplement. And this is where you can really point us in the right direction of why these are creating the problems and where to find the details in, say, an attached report. And we'll show you that we do ask for Tim's reports. We would like not just we would like the GCAT analysis, the crash analysis. However, if you are citing fatalities, we will ask you to include the specific crash report so that we can see that. Again, we also give you ample room to define what the health and safety issue is. And these are $1 million applications. And so these write-ups need to be worth $1 million. We really, I think of this maybe, legal, like you need to show your case here, right? So 3 sentences may not cut it when you see that we're comparing it to folks or applicants that are putting in great detail how what is happening and how their project will eliminate that. So, and again, it's the same thing with the sewer, septic, wastewater, and water, just different criteria or characteristics that we're looking at. This is a lot bigger in the applicant application supplement to allow you to write some details about and where to find either the pictures or the reports or the even if you have any what are they called, just everything that you need in here. I'll get to that in a minute. So for the water projects, we do work and get technical assistance from the Cleveland Water Department. If you are submitting that, even if you are not part of the Cleveland Water Department, they will work with your community to fill out this suburban water main renewal project solicitation sheet, because they will help us again look at the health and safety issues and provide their expertise. The Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District, we will meet with them again, looking at different project information, whether you are part of their district or not. And of course, the Cuyahoga County Board of Health serves all of Cuyahoga County, so you are all there, and they will help us with the septic and sewage projects and some of the overflow information and data. So, and once again, same thing as I was saying before, there's ample room. Show us what the problem is. Tell us where to find the information in attachment 7. Again, it's if it's a long report in attachment 7, tell us what page in that report. So again, the more you can guide us through your application materials, the better it is. The local match, this is based on the financial information that you put into the OPWC WorkWise application. However, if you want to pre-score it, we have the equation here. And the local match, it includes both other project funding, and other project funding might be, say, the suburban water main a grant, or from Cleveland Water Department, or the sewer district grants or ODOT-let projects. And the ability and effort to finance usually comes from the community. So we look at both of those to be in compliance, and we combine them into the one project, one criteria called local match. The loan incentive, again, it's not as popular a choice when it comes to grant and loan, but if you do take that, there are points for that. And again, here is the equation for your self-scoring. Access to funds. Okay, this is a little bit new this year. Points for 100% loan only. So communities that have not received assistance will receive points according to the table shown below. So if you have had a grant or a grant loan combination in the last 6 years or 7 years, you will get the points for grant. However, if in the last 7 years your project was funded only by 100% loan only, then you get a different amount of points. And the justification for that is these loans, again, are paid back into the district and help keep our revolving loan program going. So they're not getting this money for free. It's not a grant, and it's something that they are paying back over time. So the DOPWIC instituted this change. I do have, hold on, where's my notes? There is a lookup table on pages 26 to 28 in the applicant manual, because I realized that we only asked the last time your subdivision received funding. But if you are curious about what your points will be, the lookup table on pages 26 to 28 of the applicant manual has the type of funding. So next year we'll add the type of funding question into the actual application supplement. But again, it's going to be like pulled in from who the applicant is in our Excel scoring sheets. So again, the other things, all bridge projects are exempt from access to funds and get the full 6 points. Community and economic development. We've had this for quite a while. Your project will either be scored for community development or economic development. So is the infrastructure project needed to redevelop unutilized or underutilized parcels into a community asset? Is it along an existing commercial district? Is it a neighborhood preservation project? Or is it speculative development? So again, that's under community development. Economic development is specific to a development asset, commercial, office, industrial, or manufacturing. And then the infrastructure project is required for new economic development, asset, office, industrial, or manufacturing. Or if it is a new commercial development or speculative commercial development. So those are the differences. And you can indicate in your applicant supplement. So this is one big radio button. So if you put one here and one here, it'll switch. So you can only pick one of these 8 buttons in the form. Regional collaboration. We are encouraging communities to work together for projects that go across community boundaries. I have this, I'm assuming the center line, and again, I could be wrong. Maybe the community just repaved one side of the street, but oftentimes the center line of the street could be the community boundary. And then, if you work together, you get the whole road repaved. So we'll be looking for this. Again, this is on page 2 of the application supplement. List the municipalities you're working with and the percentage of the project. And we will, this will also be looked at for your economic health, because we'll look at the economic health and by the percentage and weighted by the percentage of the municipalities. However, to be considered for these points, you must provide the required cooperative agreements indicating the subdivision's financial participation. And we need this before the approval meeting. So we'll need this for January 17th. The reason it is not due with the application deadline is because perhaps these are have to go through 3 readings and the legislative schedules might not match up with our deadline. However, if you do have it, get it in. If you need to upload it after the deadline has passed, you will need to work with me or Nick to get access to your WorkWise application. And economic health. So this is very similar as how it used to be done. The difference is in the points. Instead of 12.5 max in each of the categories, it's now 11.5 for the new total of 23. And then the way we came up with the divisions is a little different than in the past. The FY 2025 points are based on bell curves of the two data sets, the per capita income and the percentage of households below poverty level from the US Census Bureau American Community Survey 5-year estimates 2016 to 2020 will be used to calculate those scores. And we made the bell curves of those data sets and created the 5 scoring categories around the mean PCI, which are per capita income, which is 48,460, and the mean percentage of households below poverty, which is 10.7%. So Cuyahoga County Department of Public Works will be awarded economic health points based on the owner of the asset. And like I said earlier, a multi-subdivision project score in economic health will be based on the project percentage of the partnering communities as provided in the project description section, or where did I put it? Right up here. So and coordinated infrastructure, the DOPIC will award 1 point for each secondary infrastructure component for a maximum of 4 points. So if your secondary infrastructure components are so large that you can click all of them, please note that you will only max out at 4 points. Again, we will use the secondary infrastructure component section in the project description based on what is checked and the brief description, and again, how we verify all of that. So, and then the generation of user fees, and that is the project type, not the primary infrastructure, but the project type selected not on page 1 of the OPWC application, but in the project type or the project information section of the WorksWise application. So I will fix this slide before I do post this slideshow on our website after today. So I will make that quick change for you before I post this. Again, the bridge, culvert, and road projects get the 5 points, and that is because it is determined by their very nature. Utility projects and treatment plants do indeed generate user fees for general revenue. So the water treatment plants, wastewater treatment plants, water transmission lines, and the sanitary sewer interceptors, all of those will get 0. And again, it's based on the OPWC WorksWise application. So I see that there's only 2 questions in the Q&A, so I will move on if there's no questions about that. The small government program has $20 million, and the OPWC Small Government Commission reviews projects submitted statewide and selects projects for funding. Applicants are given a 30-day cure period for small government applications. The project selection this year is scheduled for May 9th of 2024, and the agreements will go out in July 1, 2024. So in order for the DOPIC to determine which eligible applications will be the most competitive for small government, these applications will also be scored according to the SG methodology. And this year, we're going to be working with you guys on a score, a pre-score for the ability and effort. knowing that you guys can change that after, if you are selected for small government. So just acknowledging that. And then again, there is a small government supplement that'll explain that. And I'll open up these two supplements, but it says small government right next to application supplement. And what that includes is these extra papers. It will have the small government checklist, and it will have this same engineer's plan status certification required for criterion number 11, part 1, and it says small government commission. And again, it may seem repetitive, but we don't want any of our district small government applications to be disqualified because they thought that the district level form would suffice. So that's why we have this new specific application for small government. We have the this water worksheet to help you determine your ability and effort. And again, I will need to work with the small government applicants for that. So it will take some time and communication between the two of us in order to get that score. But the SCIP, LTIP, small government application are all due September 14th, 2023 by 4:30 p.m. And remember, just OPWC WorksWise, get that in there first. And then to us. It doesn't mean that you can get your WorksWise in at 4:29 and us at 4:50, right? They both have to be in at 4:30, but make your WorksWise your priority there. Do that first. The preliminary project ranking will be published on the county planning website on December 8th. Appeals, if you don't agree with the DOPWIC score, you may submit an appeal, and you have a week to get your appeal. You'll need to identify the criteria that you don't think was scored right, and explain why it was not scored right, and submit that by 4:30 p.m. on December 15th. And a revised project ranking based on recommendations for the appeals will be forwarded to the DOPWIC. It will also be posted on our website. And I will reach out to the applicants when that happens. I don't have the date for that. Final project rankings will be determined at the DOPWIC meeting on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. And then the small government ranking will happen directly after that meeting. And I will update this side. It's 5 projects this year, 5 projects. And then the emergency project, Nick already really went through these, but you submit that directly to OPWC, and the OPWC director's discretion to approve that money. And so that 12 million can go that doesn't go as fast as when it was a lesser amount. But again, it does tend to dwindle toward the end of the year. Is that correct, Nick?
Yeah, I think the last year the fund didn't go as quickly, but when I came on board a couple of years ago, it was, it would be gone pretty quickly, and that would be pretty competitive.
So make sure you schedule your emergencies early in the fiscal year. And again, you'll have to enclose pictures. These are taken right from their website, so you can see what they're looking at and what kind of projects they will fund. And then projects agreements, I'm gonna let Nick do this slide, actually.
Yeah, so project implementation begins as soon as the agreements are released on July 1st. Once projects are released, the applicants have 45 days to sign the agreement, or in extreme scenarios, the project could be recalled by OPWC. We don't really do that. Usually we try to reach out to you and get that signed, but that is a possibility. The CEO will receive an email from WorksWise once the projects are released. To sign it, it'll be an email, there's an e-sign link, you'll sign it. And then if there's a loan component, that email, as soon as the CEO signs, will go to the CFO of the project to sign the promissory note. And then once signing is complete, the project in WorksWise will move to a status of approved. And then from there, you can disperse on the project whenever the first invoice comes. But July 1st is the date that you can theoretically begin construction on the project. Then go to the next one. Due to those requirements, it's very important that applicants ensure that the project officials are up to date by the time the agreement releases. Sometimes by the time the agreement's released, the time in between release and applying, there can be turnover with the project officials, and then the agreement could end up in the wind for a while. So it's good to make sure that those are up to date prior to July 1st. To update those project officials, all you need to do is email me the new officials' email, name, mailing address, and phone number, and I can get them in the system and update that project. I can go to the next one. Yeah, so construction can begin as soon as the agreement is signed. It's the responsibility of the contractor to ensure they are set up in the state's payment system, OAKS. Before requesting disbursement, the status can be checked using our approved vendor list on WorksWise. Every approved vendor that is in our system is going to be there. So if there's not, you can reach out to me and we will ensure that we get them in there, as long as they have an OAKS ID, which they can get from that agency. I can't remember the name. Yeah, then you can go to the next one. So to disperse funds, that will be done through a WorksWise portal. I demonstrated that earlier. Everything takes place on the same project page. Once you create that page, that's where you'll submit it. That's where I manage the project. If there are updates for the officials, updates to the project schedule, everything goes there, as well as dispersing. Once the project is approved, there'll be a button that says request disbursement. You'll request disbursement there, and then it will create another page sort of subservient to the application page that's where you'll manage that disbursement. We need 3 documents at minimum when dispersing. The disbursement signature page that has all the signatures of the project officials, the vendor payee page that shows the vendor and the OPWC amount, and a detailed invoice from the contractor. We do accept multiple invoices for one disbursement. It's just if there's a lot of them, and sometimes they can get pretty hairy, be sure to include a invoice summary that shows how the final total is reached that we have in WorksWise. And we also do reimbursements. So if the subdivision decides to pay the whole cost up front, we can reimburse at our participation rate. We just need to see proof of payment, usually in the form of a canceled check. Yeah, you can go to the next one. So this has happened frequently within the past year. Projects come in way over bid, and the costs end up rising beyond what was budgeted. The applicant has a couple options there. They can withdraw and reapply. They can find a supplemental funding source, or they could go back to the district and ask for an increase in funds. To do that, the district is going to have to reconvene and approve that additional funding, or they could reduce the scope. So, and reducing the scope also requires us to make sure that the project would not have scored any differently and would be funded anyways. So if project, we need to lower the score. We need to make sure that that project would score the same with that lower scope, or else we risk some issues bypassing another project. Yeah, I think that's all I got on that one.
Right. And I will say in the District 1 policy manual, I don't think that the DAPA does allow more money. And usually we try to use up our money so we won't have any extra. That's the goal. So the application materials were made available on Monday, July 10th. And the deadline is September 14th. And we just kind of went over all this, but this is a table and this is also published on our website. But the most important thing to remember is the dates are all subject to change. So, but we don't foresee Thursday, September 14th changing, and we do our best to stick to the schedule. So, and just a reminder that this FY 2025 awards are released by OPWC after July 1, 2024. And also don't start any construction or any work on the projects before the project agreements are signed, because then you won't be able to be eligible for that money. So any question and answers? All right, well, I don't see any. I'm gonna just turn this slide over. If you don't have our contact information, here it is. And before I do that, or before I stop sharing, just give you a moment to write down the things. Email is the best way to contact us, and we are here to help you with your applications. The DOPWIC the DOPWIC staff, I will help you. I can review applications, certainly not on September 13th, certainly within a timely manner, but if you want a quick review and some feedback on what might be missing or things like that, or if something's allowed, please contact me. That's part of my role as a liaison. So now I will stop share and see, I don't see, I have one hand raised, but I think that's been raised the whole time. If there are no more questions, thank you very much for coming. I am going to stop the recording. No recording. Welcome back. I did say that I would share the application materials with folks. So let me do that real quick. Share again. And let's end show. And here. So oh, screen sharing has stopped as the window is closed. Okay, okay, share again. Now I am screen sharing. Okay, so again, this is it's a fillable PDF. The radio buttons are in red. If you have more locations, then are in here, just add an attachment with your list and your limits. So again, anything in blue can be filled out. There's plenty of room for this stuff, for all the information. Again, this is the district level engineers plan status certification. And this is the road, bridge and culvert. This has a 2-year maintenance of effort. And put your count year, and maps must be provided. So this is, again, very simple. And most of you are used to using these forms. But again, if you have any questions here, I don't give the equation, but I tell you where to look it up. So, and here you can see that we give you more room to just be a little bit more specific about how these characteristics are impacting your project. And then there's that big area to fill out the health and safety issue. Again, we tell you where to look for this. And I believe, if we haven't put it up already, that we will have and it's an optional thing, but it's a self-scoring form. A lot of applicants already do that. You don't have to use the self-scoring form on our that will be up on our website, but you can do that. And again, just to share also is not the PowerPoint, we already shared that. What the small government, here's the small government application supplement. So it's exactly the same until you get to the end. Again, this one is not exactly the same because I opened up the sewer, septic, wastewater, so you could see a little bit of the differences in the main part of the application. And when we get to the end, you will have your small government instructions, how these will be evaluated by the small government, DOPWIC Small Government Subcommittee. And again, just a reminder that the district run priority points to the top 5 ranked projects will be assigned at the meeting to maximize the competitiveness of district one projects to be funded at the state level. So again, we have this in twice. Here's your small government commission, and here's the all-important small government commission engineers plan status. Please don't leave this blank thinking you already filled it in. I think I've stressed that enough. Again, you can find all these materials on our website under application forms. There they are. So we have links to the resources for WorksWise and the WorksWise login. It's not actually the application materials. And then under policy manual, I will add that self-score form. Like I said, it's not a required document. Yes, we will share both the PowerPoint, especially when I make those slight little changes, as well as the video. So thank you for that question. And now I think I can stop sharing and say thank you for coming today. Again, reach out if you have any questions as you move forward. And thank you for your time and best of luck. Good luck to you all.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.